Roll call. Mr. Jerry Jones. Mr. William T. Boo Adams. Mr. Michael Groh. Mr. Aaron Bull Melvin. Mr. James Wendell. Mr. Corey Perilou. Mr. Armin Nuniote, I'm here. Ms. Delynn Boudreau is absent tonight. Her father passed away yesterday. Mr. Daniel Lorraine. And Mr. Archie Chesson, Parish President. Okay, thank you all, gentlemen. I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. I want to especially thank everyone for wearing masks and honoring our social distancing. With that said, we'll jump right into our meeting, and we are being live streamed on Facebook right now. If everyone would please rise, we'll be led in the invocation by Councilman Mike Groh, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Jim Wendell.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I ask for a brief moment of silence for Mr. Lynn Boudreau's father who passed away. Then I ask the Lord to pray for us all, for anybody affected by the COVID pandemic, and to keep us safe in hurricane season. Say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, once again, I want to thank everyone for attending tonight. Once again, if anyone wishes to address the council tonight during public comment period, please fill out a blue form at the door and just bring it up to the council chair or vice chair. Okay, item A, approval of minutes. I entertain a motion to accept the minutes of July 14, 2020 regular session. So moved by Councilman Gross, second by Mr. Adams. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have one comment on
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Mike Groh.
I know Miss Carlene's not here, but on page 12, who's taking notes for her?
Well, have you addressed it with her already, or
No.
so you haven't contacted her?
No.
Okay.
On page 12, it says, I heard from Renee and all, and I recall saying I heard from Renee Drive area. So maybe the mic didn't pick up everything with my mask. So I just want to change the verbiage to Renee Drive area instead of Renee Drive and
Okay, with
all.
her not being here tonight, do you want to just defer the minutes and then they won't get published? If so, I'll need to pull a second and pull a motion, and we can defer it to the next meeting for these changes. I just don't want to change something without her input. If you, we could. I would prefer if she was present to acknowledge that, or maybe comment on why she went with 8 all. Be my thoughts. You sure?
Yeah, I mean, nobody reads it.
Okay. So you go. We're moving forward with it. Okay. No, good. I thank you for those comments, and they're so noted. So with that said, we'll move. We have a motion on the floor in a second. We'll move it to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes by a vote of 8 yeas and 1 absence. That absence being Ms. Boudreau. Okay. Item B, Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizen. My understanding that Ms. Delynn asked for that to be deferred to the next meeting. I just want to confirm that those people are not here tonight, correct? Okay, she told me she was going to contact. I just want to make sure. So we'll move on. So the one that was up will be deferred to the next meeting. Item C, executive session. So I'm going to entertain a motion that we enter into executive session for the following. Number 2, LARS 4217A2, discussion on settlement regarding Shauna Roderick versus Lafourche Parish Government, docket number 133433. And this will be so moved by Mr. Groh for the administration, second by Councilman Wendell. Anyone has any discussion on that motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence. That absence being Ms. Boudreau. Entering into, Mr. President, we go with going to
OEP?
OEP?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll go to OEP, and it will include Parish Administrator Mitch Ogeron, Parish President Archie Chesson, and our representative from Sherman and Stents, Ms. Stents. Is that correct, Parish President?
I believe Mr. CJ's here.
Okay. And Mr. C.J. Sheremy, also of Sheremy and Stents. And so we have Sheremy and Stents here. Okay. Okay, so we'll meet in OEP. So we'll be in a executive session for, should be a very small period of time, and we'll return. I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Melvin, second by Mr. Wendell to reconvene this meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence being Ms. Boudreau. Now I'll entertain a motion. I got a motion by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Perilou, that we take any necessary action, if any, regarding the matters discussed in executive session. And with that said, has anybody got any discussion on that? So all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absent, that absent being Ms. Boudreau. That said, we'll move to item D, action from executive session. Number 3, resolution approving to settle and issue payment on all claims by Shona Rodriguez for the agreed upon amount in executive session on behalf of Lafourche Parish government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. This will be moved by Councilman Grove for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreau. Okay, item E, presentations and or updates. Number 4, Ms. Donna Knockham, Parish Chair and Extension Agent for Lafourche Office of the LSU Ag Center, to present an annual report for the LSU Ag Center. Ms. Knockham.
Donna Knockham, into my address, 167
Please.
St. Joseph Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana. I want to begin by thanking you all for your support as we continue to serve the citizens of Lafourche Parish in the areas of youth development, nutrition, fisheries, and agriculture. Becky Gautreaux will speak to you in a moment about our nutrition programs, and you also have a copy of our quarterly report which highlights our efforts in each one of our program areas. Teddy False and I, who are the 4-H agents, have brought with us some of our outstanding 4-H club members, and is an example of how our program is giving Lafourche Parish youth many opportunities, not just on a local level, but also on a state and even a national level. Kristen Richard from Central Lafourche will get to represent Louisiana at the national competition in Louisville, Kentucky, hopefully this year. Cohen Terrebonne, Katie Louvier, and Grant Rebstock from South Lafourche High School will also be representing Lafourche and Louisiana in a national competition in Denver, Colorado, again, hopefully this year. We're proud of all our individuals that we'll be honoring here today, and I believe Mr. Chasson has some certificates to give out, and we can do that right now, Mr. Chasson, if you'd like. We'll get them to come in to accept their awards, and then after that, I'll turn it over to Becky Gautreaux so she can talk about our nutrition programs.
All right, let's see if we can parade these guys through here without too much trouble. All right. So first we have Miss Carolyn Wilcox, Division I State Chicken Ambassador Commodity Contest. We shaking hands?
All right, Caroline, turn around so we get a pic of you, Bill. All right, got it.
Good job. You want to say anything? Where do you want them to go, Donna?
They can just stand. They can stand up here if they want. If they want to take a group picture, Archie. If they want to take a group picture, they can just stand up right here.
Just start right there and we'll go all the way around. How about that?
Once they're done,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, next we have Miss Madeline Fossum, Division I State Turkey Ambassador Contest. Okay.
Congratulations, sir.
All right. Next we have Mr. Connor Hitt, first place Division I State Ag Ambassador Commodity Contest.
Nice. Congratulations, Connor.
That's right. All right, next we have Tony Arnold, Division I State Beef Ambassador Contest. All right.
Nice.
All right, next we have Bo Curol, Division II State Turkey Ambassador Commodity Contest. First place. Socially
Good
distant.
job, Mr. Curol.
Next, we have Kristen Richard, first place Division III State Turkey Ambassador Commodity Contest, and first place in Division III State Egg Ambassador Commodity Contest.
Good job, Ms. Richard.
Next, we have Cohen Terrebonne, first place State 4-H Consumer Decision Making Team, and another twofer, State Citizenship Board Member. Congratulations.
Good job, Mr. Terrebonne.
Next, we have Katie Louvier, first place State 4-H University Consumer Decision Making.
Good job, Ms. Louvier.
Next, we have Grant Revstock, first place State 4-H University Consumer Decision Making Team.
Good job, Mr. Rebstock.
And last, maybe not last, DeAndrew Thomas, State Citizenship Board Member. And then, now last but certainly not least, Kirsten Onkow, State Fashion Board Member.
Thank you.
Wait.
Good job, Ms. Onkow. Archie, you don't want to come stand up here? Come on, Mr. President. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Good job.
Okay. My name is Becky Gotro, 410 Lee Drive, Thibodeau. I'm just going to talk really briefly about what my coworker Amanda Gibson and I are doing nutritionally across the parish. In front of you, you have a handout about Live Healthy Thibodeau, which is a work group that formed over the past couple of months. And it's been a little challenging working virtually, getting those people together and getting things rolling. In January, we had a whole forum at the Thibodeau Wellness Center, and 50 people showed up. It was pretty awesome because people are interested in how to get Thibodeau to a healthier spot. From that, people wanted extended farmers market hours and improving lunches and bikes and connectivity. And so we secured a spot, and we secured liability to have a farmer's market, a new farmer's market besides Ryenzi, in Thibodeau starting in September. And so that will happen. It'll be on the west side of town because the west side of town needs a little love and a little healthier options. So that's happening in September. We're also working with the city of Thibodeau to get to try and get a city and bike pedestrian path along Menard, connecting Nichols to downtown. We're doing virtual programming, Amanda and I. We did a growing at home program last week. It was 4 classes teaching people how to grow more vegetables at home and how to get in there now that we're all stuck at home, something to do, and how to keep them alive. And we teamed up with a master gardener doing that. She's also teaching classes from now till August virtually, called Let's Eat for the Health of It, and I'll do one in August called Small Changes. We teamed up with the Lafourche Library, and we created these little food demo videos that they're sharing on their Facebook page, just to get people to eat more fruits and vegetables, because that's everybody's issue. You ask them if they like vegetables, and they tell you no. They don't like green ones, but just to get people more interested in that. And then I had a kid chef camp that was scheduled with a bunch of 4-H kids, and obviously that went virtual, and so that was lessons through Facebook about knife skills and cooking and making healthier options. So yeah, we're getting it done all virtually and super excited. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ms.
Y'all
Goodrow.
have questions? No, you good?
Nope. Is Teddy going to come up? Is that it?
No, Teddy's with the kids.
Everybody's good. Thank
We're
y'all.
good.
We appreciate y'all presentations.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something.
Jim, go ahead.
I've been working with Ms. Becky Gotro and Amanda Gibson, the area nutrition agents at the LSU Ag Center, for probably about a year now on their Live Healthy Homa project, which they've done some community gardens. We've set up quite a few classes that they've had at some of our facilities through the Terrebonne Parish government with their food programs that she just talked about. You know, growing the food, we harvest the food from these community gardens. We show people who have interest how to, I say we, they show people who have interest how to not only cook the food, but preserve it, the old canning methods, a lot of useful information. So those of you guys that may see this being streamed or watch it on TV later, not only the people in the audience, I'll post this flyer on my council page to give you information. This is a great group. I've seen what they've done on the homicide in Terrebonne. I've actually attended most of their meetings before they were virtual, now that they are, but I have attended the virtual Live Healthy Thibodeau meetings. Some very good things, some very useful information. So if you can get behind this, take a look at it, see if it's something that would interest you. These ladies have done a real awesome job, gotten the community involved, the different hospitals, different schools, different volunteer groups to come out and tend these gardens and everything. And hopefully this can be a project that can bloom as well as it did next door. So thank you guys for all that you do.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you in the future. I'm going to post this information. This is very good, and it just instills and it brings out the things that we used to do when we were younger with our grandparents, the canning and the growing and the picking. Things that I did when I was growing up that my kids didn't experience because I don't do it. And these ladies have actually brought the olden times back to things, and it's very interesting and very informative. So I'd like to thank you for that and look forward to working with you in the future.
Yes, sir. And if you have any questions, just contact the office. Miss Vicky's still there.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Goodrow. And thank you, Jim, for that information. Okay, item 5, Dr. Laura Battle, Director of Louisiana Center for Women in Government and Business, to provide an update on Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. Ms. Battle.
Okay. Laura Batto, 917 Jackson Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana. And I have with me, Kristen, come up and introduce yourself. For the purposes of the council, it says I'm the Executive Director of the Louisiana Center for Women in Government and Business, which is accurate. But I am President of the Lafourche Commission on Women, and that is why I'm here, and I am on the State Commission on Women.
Hi, Kristen Anselmi, 221 Darolina Street, and I'm the chair for Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy.
And she will be speaking with you too. You have a packet in your hands. The table of contents does not necessarily reflect the order in which the pages are. Kristen and I were at 2 different tables when we put them together. It is important to understand, as we look at this packet, that the budget for the fiscal budget for Nicholls State University is July 1st through June the 30th. The budget for the commission is January through December. So that's why when you're looking at the budget, et cetera, if you find anything that is a problem to you about when money was spent. But the most important thing right now is for you to feel comfortable about the money spent by the commission during Corona, because it was spent, as was this money spent for the Louisiana Center for Women in Government and Business. And we do have in your packet a letter we sent to the governor. I talked with Archie twice about the progress, as you will see as you go through the packet, that we also, well, we tried twice to change the Louisiana Leadership Academy based on what the governor was saying about the phases, and our talking with him and Alicia in his office throughout after April, trying to find a date that we could. There's also there are two programs in there that show you the program as it was supposed to be and the program as we were going to change it and go to 2 days, believing at that point that the governor would allow us one night on campus, which, as it's obvious, he did not. Okay, so on the budget right now, you can see that it's the same amount that was budgeted on the budget that you received when we asked for money. But we want to show you how much we actually paid and how much may be paid out by 2021, because the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy year in 2020 is from July 1st through December 31st, because we have not stopped. We are continuing. So the opening keynote speaker, which was paid in January with money coming from both of us. And let me tell you this, because you may wonder, how can we tell that the $20,000 appropriated by the parish is actually spent from the commission and not just from the center? Because we do have an account with another account with the $20,000 and then we move the money so that it will go to the budget items that we believe, not only the commission, but we believe the parish council would be justified with. So obviously we did not have any counselors, and that wasn't spent. The 10,000, which of 7,500 was spent for Conquering Communications, was paid out by March. The 2,500 for travel has not been paid out, but that will come up again. There's nothing for Cameron Richard, not the governor's dinner, for the hotel expenses. Certificates have been bought because any girl from the first 50 that we signed up to the 25 that was signed up the second time when we reduced the length, width, and breadth of the program, if they participate virtually, as well as the possibility of 2 one-day programs, then they will get their certificate. All right. Obviously, Cameron Richard, the governor's dinner, hotel expenses, none of that was. On the service project, I don't know if all of you know Sandy Rosenthal. We get a Rosenthal Foundation grant every year for $20,000, the center does. And Sandy Rosenthal created levees.org and wrote a book about her efforts since Hurricane Katrina to bring the Army Corps of Engineers to their knees about making sure Louisiana had levees that would last. So we did order the books because we are going to use them. Then also going down there, most of that's zero, and the others are nothing much that you would be interested in, but we do want you to look at everything. For instance, we did not have staff training, but if we have 2 one-day programs, we will need staff training. Also 2 other things. The Southern Rivers, the 5 actors are not paid by money that comes from the commission. That money's never taken out of our other little account, say, which is either debit or savings, but it is paid by the grant from Sandy Rosenthal. But the actors are still willing to come. The point is, do we have enough girls from our second level, which was 25 girls, not 50, that would come to make it reasonably sound that we pay the extra $2,500 to bring down the actors. All right, then also on the speaker, the closing ceremony speaker, the Columbine survivor, we are willing to pay what is left for travel for him to come in. He wants to come in, but that is going to be we'll pay it, but we want that to be the decision of Lafourche Parish. Do you want the Columbine survivor to come in to speak to one or more schools during school time in his message about how to be able to tell that there are problems with students and what happened at Columbine? So is that all right that I'll hear from Archie and you, Armand, about whether you would like for us to bring him in to speak at one or more schools in Lafourche Parish?
Anyone want to comment? My personal comments are this is going to be a tough year next year, Ms. Battle. Right here, Ms. Battle.
Oh.
You can't see who's speaking with these masks on.
It's Armand?
But I can tell you that, 2021 is going to be a brutal year with no money. So that needs to be taken into consideration in terms of your funding source. I'm sure everyone up here can probably back me up on that we're going to be really stretched for funds. The other part of that is we don't know what the schools are going to allow. So at this point, it's pretty premature to start saying that the school, we can do this or that or the other with the school or at Nichols or any other thing for that matter. So I don't know if anyone else has any comments. Archie, you have any comments on that?
I mean, I would kind of echo what Chairman Otan said. I mean, I don't know what next year holds as far as schools. So, I mean, if we can save some of that money, I would say let's save it and maybe roll it into next year's program as soon as we get there.
That's fine. We just know that we paid money, and so the amount for him to come in is not that great for us. It would come from our own budget, and we were trying to make sure that the parish is getting something, but it's all your decision. You can let us know when. He's willing to come in too. Okay, so.
Sorry, hold on. So you already
Ms.
paid
Adams?
him?
Huh?
You already paid him?
We paid everything that you see in this budget because we started signing contracts in January and we're paying up front in February and March. We had no idea that we were going to have that problem at that time. Because we started in July 1st in planning the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. And I'm afraid, God and none of the saints told us, don't plan as you usually do.
Sure. That's what most nonprofits right now are facing, the same dilemma. Anyone else have any other comments from Ms. Battle? You can continue, Ms. Battle. So at this time, it sounds like the few that have spoken, it looks like it's going to be lean times next year. So as much as you can hang on to, best do it.
Thank you. We hope that we'll get some support from you. And here's the brochure that Kristen put together for us. And then there are the 2 drafts. It says draft 2. That means we were just making it better. And draft 3 of the, or is it draft? I don't see. We might have, okay, there should be, here it is. Draft 3, where the academy was changed from June to the end of July. And we thought at that time, having talked to the governor and to President Clune, we thought we had a good chance of putting it together on that date. So then, what are you getting for your money? That we want to go over with you. We're absolutely going to put, we have a videographer and we're going to put videos together. Now on your sheet of the program videos and the teaching videos, first we have 1,000 women with children throughout Louisiana that will know when these videos are together, plus all of the girls that we have contacted this year and years before. So as you can see, political competence we put together, and about the Louisiana Center for Women in Government and the Lafourche Commission on Women. The teaching videos, we have 2 videos already done. There will be 2 a month. The ABCs of running for office, because girls probably were not allowed to run for office at the end of the year like usual. So we're getting that out in August for them. Words Whispered in Water, which is the tale of levees.com and the book that was written on what was done in Louisiana with the Corps of Engineers. The Power of Promoting Your Presence on Social Media. Conquering Communications. We will have a video from California that will be sent here. There Is No Box, Harnessing the Presence of Social Media. Kim Bergeron from New Orleans, who's a public relations guru. Leaders in Action from 4 of our leaders in Lafourche, the DA, Major Renee Brinkley, Assessor Wendy Thibodeau, and Clerk of Court, Annette Fontana. Now, Kristen is going to tell you what else we're doing going forward.
Okay. So I will try to be brief. This has been a great time for us to actually assess and talk to our former participants and find out how we move forward, how we become more modern, and how do we plan for next year, not knowing what 2021 will look like. So we went ahead, and I am the red. I tried to be as focused as possible, but it kind of shows you like what our participants, and all of them kind of had very similar answers as to what they were looking for in the program and what they thought future groups would look forward to. So we have 3 plans, Plan A, B, and C, which it's similar to the school system where Plan A would be a traditional format, fit in those trips and those, what we might consider like more luxury programs. And then Plan B would be our hybrid program, which would be our shortened 1-day program, and maybe with a virtual mix. So they might have a packet that they receive that goes along with that program, and supplemental pieces that they do once they are at home or even before they arrive. And then Plan C is our virtual, where they would receive a packet in the mail, and that would go along with maybe a week where they would log on for a day or so, not a day, an hour or so, and go through that programming for the day, just so that they're not getting Zoom fatigue. So that is really what we're thinking in terms of programming. We'd like to keep a lot of those things that are so important to them, their communication. They loved ABCs of running for office, which Laura has kind of included her presentation on that, and we would love to do more with that as well.
As well as Leaders in Action.
Yes.
And we are going to try next year, even if it's 1-day program. We've received email after email and call after call, not just from girls, from their parents, saying, please don't let this go. This is a hope for all of these girls. So we're not letting it go. Doing the best we can now and hoping that we will have some normality by the time we start again. So as I said, we are going to try to do 1-day programs, which Nichols will allow. But we can't do any more than 1-day programs, which also means that the we're gonna reach out to girls from every parish, but it probably means that it'll be our parish is close to Lafourche. That's the realistic thing right now. And then virtual for others that cannot at all participate. Do y'all have any questions?
Very good. Mike Grove.
Just a quick question. Did y'all lose any funding from any of your private sector? You know, I thought you used to have like Shell and some of those guys. I didn't see it in the literature.
Chevron and AT&T and Bill Goldberg, and the Rosenthal Foundation all sent in their checks. But we did not. We sent letters. As I said, we start July 1st. So we sent letters to people But when we realized that we could not even do July, we stopped begging with the idea of when we come back to you in October or November, we're going to have a specific program that we're also going to send to all of our funders and say, don't leave us now. We need you. So, because as y'all saw when we've sent you the list of people that do support us, whether it's small. I talked to Joe Waits the other day, and even though it's $500, he's coming back.
Very good. Any further questions, Mike? Good. Anyone else have any other questions? Thank y'all both for your presentation. We appreciate it. Item 6, Mr. Timothy Bush, President and CEO of Louisiana's Cajun Bayou Tourism, to present the 2019 Lodging and Visitor Study. Mr. Bush.
Hey, good afternoon. Timothy Bush, 216 West 8th Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70304. Good afternoon. Thank you all for allowing me an opportunity to address the council. It's been a while since I've been here, so I felt it was a good time to come in and give an update on tourism and also give some general updates as well. What you see on the screen is our lodging and visitor research study from 2019. The focus, you can, next slide. So we had 6 main objectives in this research study was to determine the effectiveness of our marketing, importance of travel and tourism to Lafourche, who our visitors are, what they do, how much do they spend in our community, how do visitors rate our area, as well as are we doing all that we need to do and what needs to be done to achieve greater growth. Additionally, how much money is generated from tourism from visitors. Next slide. Thank you. So the research was done in 2 parts. Lodging report conducted with our 18 hotel properties in the parish, as well as visitor research, 552 visitor interviews, 305 e-surveys, and 247 actual in-person interviews in our hotels. The lodging revenue is charged 8 years of revenue. As you can see, 2014 was the high point. Of course, we know oil and gas is significant for our parish. And then you see a decline moving in 2015, hitting a low point in 2017. But as you can see, in 2018, we began to rebound, and so we reached a 3-year high in 2019. So, of course, no surprise that 56.1% of all visitors in Lafourche Parish that stay in a hotel is business-related. You see that up the bayou and down the bayou as well, with 36.4% of those being leisure visitors. But what's interesting is that when you look at upper western Lafourche, Thibodaux, you see 41.8% of business plus leisure at 41.4%. So those are pretty close to each other in comparison to down the bayou, 66.4% business and 32.2% leisure travelers. And again, our smaller motels, very similar workers, followed by fishing, leisure. Our bed and breakfast community is predominantly leisure, 75%, followed by social groups, weddings, reunions, family gatherings as well. These visitors come from Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, internationally from Canada and France. So in talking with our hotels, the things that they want us to focus on is leisure, travelers, weddings and reunions, meetings and conferences, team sports, and hunting and fishing, of course, we know are big opportunities within the parish. I will point out that leisure visitation increased 5% year over year from 2018. In the Intercept survey, again, the interviews that were conducted in our hotels by the research company with actual visitors tells us what they like about our community. Again, the first point, 57.4%, planned their trip within a month of being here. So they start in, say, August, they're here in September. There was a great awareness of the Cajun Bayou Food Trail, which launched in 2018. So just slightly over 2 years. You see the restaurants, Spar, Sinclair, Freeman's, and Bubba's 2, and Gina's tied. Of course, all those restaurants are members of the Cajun Bayou Food Trail. Primary activity, dining, ranked number 1. Shopping, number 2. People attending festivals and visiting attractions. Things people liked, Cajun culture, heritage, scenery, atmosphere, food, restaurants, again, no big surprises there. Dislikes, the humidity, hey, can't do anything about it. It is what it is. As well as road traffic, signage, are things that they'd like to see improved. And of course, what makes us unique, Cajun culture, landscape, history. What they like to see more of is more chef-owned restaurants and Bayou waterfront entertainment, dining, shopping area. While there is an abundance of shopping in the area, people still want to see more shopping opportunities. And I think what they're looking for is, again, those big, like Tanger outlets type shopping, which is what we don't have in Lafourche. The inquiry conversion summary is done of those 305 e-surveys that were done. What we found in this particular piece was those visitors are Gen X to baby boomers, well-educated, professional, retired with above average income. So that's actually quite good for us because they have disposable income to spend in our community. Additionally, you see a 40.4% conversion rate. So of those people surveyed, they actually came and visited the parish for a trip. And so to have a 40.4% conversion rate is outstanding. Primary trip purposes, leisure, visiting friends and family, day trips, stopping over as part of a longer trip, and festivals. Again, primary activities, dining, shopping, museums, historical attractions, Bayou Swamp tours, the top 4. The overall rating is a 4.47, which is a high, A-, just shy of excellent. Again, you'll see the note that says shopping was rated poorly. So highs and lows, dining options rated high. Ranked low, shopping. And again, of the people surveyed, 99% are likely or somewhat likely to return. So that's significant because it points to the fact that we are not just creating new visitors, we're creating repeat visitors, which allows them to come back to our community again and again and spend their dollars in our community. So I think that's really positive. So what did we learn from the lodging study? Overall, modern lodging mix of inventory, visitor mix is 40 to 60% business, leisure, and groups. Oil and gas has major impact to increase or decrease lodging revenue. Hotels want us to focus on leisure, weddings, reunions, meetings, sports, hunting, and fishing. Those visitors come from Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and Alabama, not traveling with kids, nor with pets, and international snowboarders and France, Canada and France. The visitor study, point of origin, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and Florida, internationally, Canada and France. Educated baby boomers, Generation X, been to New Orleans multiple times, 40.4% conversion rate. Likes dining, culture, atmosphere, vibe, dislike heat, again, can't change it. Overall rating, A-, likely to visit the area several times. If connected, they're likely to return more. Again, what they like to see more of is shopping, chef-owned restaurants. But the one thing that's very clear from the research is they love our vibe and to keep it authentic. And so again, that's important to note because our brand is built on the idea that we are not anything but who we say we are. And so that's what we seek to deliver to potential visitors and travelers. So the big number, economic impact. Of visitors that come here, on average, they spend $337.34 overnighting in Lafourche. So that's gas, food, shopping, all those things. Last year in 2019, we sold 162,400 room nights. So multiply those together and you get a $54,296,816 of direct economic impact from tourism. Again, that's a nice substantial number for our parish. This includes 9 Smith Travel Research properties, motels, inns, bed and breakfasts, day trips, and those visiting friends and family. I'll pause if anybody has any questions.
Got a couple.
Okay, Mr. Grove.
So when Lieutenant Governor Nungesser was running at one point, he was kind of going with the idea of like vacation in your own state.
Yes.
You know, so with the restriction of travel, I mean, there's no more important times. I mean, people need these weekend getaways. How are we targeting that business? So do we have billboards? Like I know Bossier City used to do a lot of that, and they'd come to Bossier or Lafayette,
Okay.
or put something up on, come visit our area for food or fishing or whatever we can maybe do. Are we doing anything like that?
Yes, if you'll let me move to the next slide,
right.
I will show you. So one of the things that we did was we stopped advertising in March because of COVID-19. And so once we entered phase 2, we launched our Remember Lafourche campaign, which was really designed to help people remember what Lafourche stands for as a destination, but also to encourage people to think about visiting again. And so to your question, we do have billboards actually in 5 in Louisiana and Mississippi. So Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Jefferson Parish, and in Biloxi. So targeting people with fishing ads. And so we kind of took the demographics of our visitors, looking at different cities and trying to think about what would appeal to them. So we have ads related to fishing, but also to food and to golf as well. So we are promoting the staycation aspect of marketing right now because we recognize that visitors at this particular point are going to be coming from a smaller radius within 250 miles. And so our campaign is really centered along those areas. Did I answer your question? Good. And so, again, we tried to capture this idea of remember the food, remember Lafourche, because, again, Councilman Perillo and I were just talking about the food, and he commented on all of the food posts I post on social media, but we have a lot of great food here, and so it's one of the things that's really been a great ambassador to allowing people to come to Lafourche and get an idea of what it's about. And so we created ads that really spoke to those things, and I created as well. And we also did a video, as well as 4 short videos, and I think we're actually going to play one of those videos for you right now. Yeah. Get the sound. Can we get the sound?
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. There we go. So one of the things about that video has been viewed over 40,000 plus times since we launched it on June 15th. And what's important to note about that is on this slide right here, you can see this. We've also been monitoring the sentiment of travelers and how they feel about Lafourche as a destination. And so you can see some of those. All of the swamps here in Louisiana are great, relaxing and beautiful. Love Louisiana. We live in North Louisiana, but love our getaway down south. Now here's a good place. Absolutely love this video. Shows our home off in a great way. And so these comments are from potential visitors, and so they're posting them on the post when they share our video. So we're having a wider reach to impact people's perception of our community and why they should be spending their time in our community. So I think that is really, again, a positive step. And lastly, last week, if you saw, we became an officially accredited organization from the Destination Marketing Accreditation Program, DMAP, designation with distinction. The distinction comes when you complete 10 of 20 aspirational goals as a destination promotion organization. And we were one of only 3 organizations to receive with distinction in 2020, and one of the few smaller destination marketing organizations in the country and the state to be accredited. So, great achievement for our parish. And lastly, thank you all for everything you do and your support of tourism. It is extremely appreciated, and again, anything that we can do to help you, please let us know. Thank you.
Anyone have any? Go ahead, Mr. Perilou.
Yeah, Timothy, I just want to say I'm a big fan of your work. Not soon after a few of us was elected, I think you rolled out the Louisiana Cajun Bayou campaign in what, 2016?
17.
17. So yeah, it was shortly after we took office. And your involvement, and you're not a 9-to-5 guy, and I appreciate that. Round the clock, you're always pushing everything Lafourche. You're learning. You're trying to grow this tourism, and it shows every day. So your passion for Lafourche Parish doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you very much, and I need a list of all those places that you show those pictures of food, man, because it looks so good. So,
Happy to give it to you.
Thanks for all your work, Timothy. We appreciate you.
Mr. Adams.
I just have a quick question. Right now, I know we're in phase 2, but isn't the swamp tours and everything, isn't that like closed right now? You can't do that?
So there are 2 that are open,
Okay.
2 that are closed, and I will just take the opportunity to say, a lot of people think about or talk about supporting the community, which is very, very important, but they don't necessarily think of those swamp tours as part of our community, because visitors are the ones who visit those places most often. And a lot of those places are hurting. A lot of their business is international, but international visitation is not coming back in 2020, and 2021 honestly is a best guess scenario at this particular point. And so I would encourage people to visit those swamp tours that are open and support those businesses, because they are vitally important to our tourism economy. And so if we don't have those, then that lessens the opportunity for people to come here. So I would encourage you to definitely do that. But yes, we have 4, and 2 of the 4 are closed.
Yeah, I have 2 in my district, and both of them are closed right now. So
Zams.
Zams and Torres.
Well,
Yeah.
and see, Zams was open because we took a tour on there about maybe 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Oh, and shout out to Spars. They're in my district too. Yeah.
So if no one else, I'll echo Mr. Perilou's statements. Mr. Bush, you've taken it to a whole nother level, and I hope you keep pushing it. And once this whole humbug of COVID is over, hopefully we can really take off and start seeing the benefits, the rewards of all you and your staff's efforts. So thank you.
Thank you. And just to kind of give you a little additional data, right now in terms of year-over-year comparison, we're about 5.9% down in occupancy, which is actually a pretty good place to be when you compare us to other destinations around Louisiana and around the country. They are not faring nearly as well as we are. We are in a very good situation. We've seen increased website traffic. I mean, matter of fact, we started the year up and then we went down, but we have managed to drive our website traffic back up in that time, and we've seen record downloads of our visitor's guide, and so people are still taking notice and still planning to come here when the time is right and the opportunity is right.
Very good. Once again, thank you, Mr. Bush.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Okay, number 7, Mr. Barry Leday, Treasurer of Fire Protection District Number 7 Board, to present his annual report. You got the floor, Barry.
Barry Leday, 210 Rue Grand Chien, Thibodeau. I'm the treasurer for Fire District 7, which and is done by 308 Fire Department from the Thibodeau city limits to Lafourche Crossing. We had an income of $175,251.83, which included an insurance rebate, $7,119.65, avalorum tax, $109,110.75, reimbursements, $358.98, and from 2018, $58,662.15. We had expense of $134,133.34, and we had a balance of $41,118.40. Our capital improvement account, which we try to put as much as we can, because if one of those trucks break, we wouldn't even have enough for a down payment. In the beginning of 2019, we put $50,000 from 218, and in 2020, we deposited $35,000 at the end of 2019. We had some interest of $244.81, and we got a balance of $290,067.94 in our capital improvement account. We've been adding three-way hydrants on 308, where we have big buildings where the fire load is high.
And y'all do a cost share, right? The
Yeah, we're
water
doing a
district, because that
cost share.
comes, if the council may recall, we do see that. It comes in front of us where y'all have been doing, one of the few departments in the parish that does that takes advantages of that, but, so we do see that.
And that does help out with our fire rating. We currently are 5.4 rating. We had some big expense last year of our air conditioning going out at $16,000. We did use our station one time for a storm for the National Guard to sleep. You know, we have a generator the parish supplied. We do things like that. So, any questions?
Anybody got any questions? Mr. Wendell?
District 7's Lafourche Crossing, 308?
Yes.
Say, Mr. Jim? Yeah, and just a comment, yeah, I'm glad y'all put money aside, because in 1951, 52, those pumpers were about $15,000, and today they're just under $400,000. So I'm glad y'all putting, like you said, y'all wouldn't even have enough to put a pumper if y'all had to.
And we fortunate Thibodeau Fire Department donated us a pumper in 1990 and donated that to us, and we got rid of a 1983 pumper.
Very good. Once again, Barry, please take it back to you guys and your ladies over there at Lafourche Cross, and we appreciate everything y'all do. And thanks again, Barry.
Thank y'all.
Okay, move to item F, engineers architect reports. Any engineers in the audience? Okay.
Craig Como, Baroque and Benora Engineers and Consultants, 209 Canal Street, Metairie, Louisiana. Our report today is just to update you what changes have been made since the last monthly report. First, on the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, which included 4 properties, the parish was waiting for a reimbursement from GOSEP that was processed on June 30th, and the parish by now should have received that money. And the project amendment for a budget modification is pending as of July 9th. And we should be seeing that. That's for an increase for a project budget for one of the properties for about $2,000. The second project is the FMA 2016 project, which included 7 properties. The last action there was a time extension that we're waiting on. We had a homeowner recently who had been postponing his project because of his cost share, who decided to move forward with his project. The grant currently expires in August of 2020, so we had to request a time extension that the administration submitted, and we're hoping to get that approved shortly so he can begin construction on that project. The next project was the FMA 2017 project. The reimbursement for that grant was completed on July 14th. The parish has received that money, and the contractor should be getting paid in full, either this week or next. And then the final project is the FMA 2019 project. That's the one that FEMA recently identified for further review, and we received a request for information from FEMA on July 14th. That is due back to FEMA on August 14th, and we should actually have that into them this week. I've also provided a couple of before and after pictures just to give you an idea of what these homes look like before and after elevation. Here's a project that's along Highway 90. The house was elevated about 3 to 3.5 feet. And the grants do pay for homeowners who have handicapped accessibility issues to actually have a lift installed on the properties. This is a project in Lockport that had to go up higher because the base flood elevation there was actually a much higher value. And one of the tough things about our grant program is we have to use what's considered the best available information. And again, we talked about last month, the digital firm maps that are currently in preliminary stage that require some homes to elevate to higher levels.
That home right there was probably 2 to 3 foot underwater for Hurricane Juan.
That's correct. No, they do not. They're actually bolted shut.
The first question I asked when they lifted it.
Yep, that's exactly right. Now, the homeowner does have a garage door on the back that originally was allowed to have a boat go through, but that does have a deck on the back to allow access. This homeowner also received an ADA lift that's installed on the back of the property. This is a property that's in Bayou Blue. And again, once again, we have the ADA lift that's in the front. These couple of properties here are Thibodeau properties. These fall just on the north side of Lafourche Crossing. One of the interesting things about this area is the base flood elevation actually is really close to the existing slab height. So these homes were elevated to about 3 feet just to allow for access for the flood vents. This particular property, its original first floor elevation was actually higher than the base flood elevation, yet it could still continue to flood. This also is in that same neighborhood, same thing, elevated about 3 feet. This property is in Lockport. Once again, this one elevated to about 3.5. And then this one also is in Bayou Blue, a couple of houses down from the prior one. This particular property, homeowner took an opportunity to improve the house as well and decided to paint it themselves after the project. The grant did not pay for that extra work. The homeowner had to do it. And you'll notice on this one, Councilman Paraloo, they went ahead and closed in the garage door and made additional living space, which obviously improves the property value for that structure. Any questions?
Yeah, that second home that was in Lockport, we were out there many times helping him pump water out of his house. He flooded on a regular basis. Yeah. And the interesting part of that is they lifted this house with a cement floor to see the webbing that they dig underneath this. But that resident was only out of his house for 1 day.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable. I mean, disconnecting electricity, your gas lines, the whole works. 1 day he was displaced.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mike Groh.
Greg, when y'all do these and they have the cost sharing and the estimates, I'm sure things happen in construction. Do they have a lot of change orders?
That's a very interesting question. We have worked with the contractors and the homeowners on these projects to actually create a situation that generates no change orders.
So it's 97 point whatever percent, that's it? And
No, and the reason is because during the design process, we work, the sad thing is a lot of companies could do this design area piece. Homeowners have to hire a contractor with their own engineer, but we're looking at it from a grant perspective. But during that process, we actually just stretch that out a little bit longer than other firms for the purpose of making sure the homeowner considers every possible scenario and the contractor builds into their cost any contingencies for what may happen. We also encourage the contractors to do exploratory digging, usually around the corner of a property, just to see what kind of condition the slab's in, that sort of thing. But I can tell you, outside of the 7 projects we've done here in this parish, we've done a little over 100 plus in other parishes, and we've only had 1 change order in all those projects. And that change order was for only $3,000.
Very good. Appreciate the presentation. Any other engineers, architect reports? Oh yeah, Jack's hiding in the back.
Good evening, Jack Plazos with Piciola and Associates. I don't have a slide presentation. We don't have any projects currently in construction. I just want to briefly mention about the Choctaw levee permitting that we've worked on for some time now. We are continuing to coordinate with the agencies. We had correspondence this week with DNR You remember probably that they issued a permit back in January of 19, and we're also still waiting for the Corps of Engineers to issue their permit. So that's the latest update, similar to what I've said several times before. Any questions about it?
Very good. Anyone got any questions of Jack? Not at all. Thanks for being here tonight, Jack. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I think this will maybe the final one. Good to see you again.
All right. Okay, so first project that we'll have here, the first couple, the hazard mitigation projects. Timberland Pump Station, Parish-wide Pump Station, and then Layton also. I know talked about the home elevations. We had the home elevation project. Nobody's doing anything on it. We've had 4 of total of 13. I know we've had this conversation numerous times, but nobody's been doing anything, so I just took it off. If you want me to continue reporting on it, I can. I just figured probably didn't need to report on it if, again, none of the additional homeowners have said that they could afford the 25% match, so I really don't know where that's going to go. We've been trying to talk to GOSEP. There's a lot of additional funding in that grant, but it's in a different grant than some of the other ones, like this one, Timberland, Parish-wide, and Layton, to see if we can maybe use some of that money. We've been talking to them about it for a while. I don't know that they're going to be able to do it, but what's going on with Timberland, we've been waiting. It's probably 2 years now since the project bid for the additional funding to be approved. They haven't approved it yet. And I think what we're going to do at this point, we've been talking with DPW and Lionel in the grants department, is to see if we can reduce the elevation of the pump deck on this. As was mentioned previously, like on the home elevations, we have to go by the worst case scenario of all of the FEMA maps, the effective, which is the old, the DFIRM, and the advisory. Timberland, that elevation is 14 feet. So we have to actually be a minimum clearance above that, so that pump deck is literally 20 feet in the air, which is insane, but that's the requirement. So what we're going to do is go back to GOSEP and ask them, look, can we please maybe lower this thing, save some money, and get this project going? So that's on Timberland. Parish-wide, right now what's going on, there's been some changes as far as looking at things with the North Lafourche Levee District. Perfect example, Little Owl Pump Station is on here. Little Owl, based on the Levee District's master plan, is going away. So that's $100 and some odd thousand that was allocated to Little Owl that we could maybe use at another pump station. So Dylan and I have gotten together a couple times, talked about that, maybe reallocating some money and making sure that we're not putting money towards something that's going to go away in the next year or two based on, other improvements that the Levee District is doing. Layton, again, we're still just waiting on the approval from that one. In conversations with Dylan, some stuff has come up with things that maybe they'd like to do differently on this. Put a little bit more money towards bridges and trash screens in lieu of some of the other things that we have. So again, we're going to look at this as a whole, see if we can maybe get the cost down and get GOSEP to start moving these things along, because it's just they're not going anywhere right now, because we're just waiting on approvals with those guys. And I think, maybe if we can reduce some of the costs, that we can get them moving. Community Center, that project is substantially complete. There's 2 items. It's the practice basketball goals and then the divider curtain. So contractors should be getting those in. They said next week they should be delivered and hopefully installed. Once that's done, then we can do the final walkthrough and get that final completion and closed out. Streetlight permitting, we have a new set that we got. I want to say it was last month. That's the list that's up there. If anybody was, looking to see if one's on the list, that is what we are currently working on. Thibodeau Library additions and renovations. Project is under construction right now. They're probably about 50% complete. The restroom renovations are done and the restrooms are open to the public. And then they're just continuing to work on the exterior envelope on the new building and the extensions. Coastal Center, that project, the programming phase has been completed. The documents were delivered to the parish. And basically what the building committee is doing now is they're kind of continuing through the schematic design process, looking at floor plans, options, and, you know, design from an aesthetic standpoint. So we're just continuing to move on that. And that's it. Any questions?
And Mr. Jones?
Hey, Ms. Heather, how we doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Leal Pump Station.
Yes.
You say in the future it's going away?
Yes. I think, and I don't know the details exactly of how that happens, but that's one of the things. Just, you know, the levee district's doing a lot of stuff right now, and that one particular project has numerous pump stations in it, so it's kind of hard to get everything squared away at once. But yeah, so that's what, based on our conversations with Dylan and then also the levee district, that Little Owl, based on some of the other master plans, is not going to be long-term, that one's going to be going away.
Did the levee district look at the expansion on Waverly Road, Colonial Station, King George subdivision?
Yeah, like from a standpoint of master plan drainage improvements, or specific to the Little Owl pump station? I just want to make sure I understand the question.
Well, Little Owl helps Layton.
Yes.
It helps brings the water from Assumption.
I think so. But I think they're looking at improvements on some maybe larger pump stations or combining stuff. And again, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not sure of the details, but I mean, I can get you those answers for sure.
Please keep me informed on that one.
Will do. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I think that's it. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Last call for any engineers, architect reports. All right. We'll move to item G, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, etc. First up, I have Mr. Thomas Arsenault. Mr. Arsenault, if you don't mind, just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Thomas Arsenault, 13068 Highway 308 in LaRose. I'm currently the board president of the Bayou Civic Club, which operates the LaRose Regional Park, LaRose Civic Center. The Bayou Civic Club has always partnered with Lafourche Parish government in providing recreational, civic, educational opportunities to our community. When you drive over the bridge on the Intercoastal Overpass, all you gotta do is look down there and you'll see all the activity that goes on. I mean, with this COVID-19 going on here, I don't know what the people in LaRose would do without having this park, for them to be able to get out, bring their kids out there, and just have something to do besides just sitting at home. I'm actually here today to update you on the fiscal status of the Civic Club in relation to our ability to maintain these much-used facilities in the future. But I'll tell you what, before I do that, you need to know that Lafourche Parish government and the state of Louisiana entered into a cooperative endeavor agreement to have the parish act as fiscal agent in order to use the state funds to replace the roof on the LaRose Civic Center. Additionally, the Lafourche Parish Council on December 8, 1998, agreed to amend the agreement with Bayou Civic Club through resolution number 98-124, whereas Lafourche Parish government accepted residual ownership of the LaRose Civic Center building. This was done specifically to qualify the state funds as being spent on a parish building. The Bayou Civic Club, furthermore, that same year amended their bylaws on file with the Secretary of State of Louisiana, stating that if the Civic Club ever dissolved, all assets of the corporation shall be distributed to the governing body of Lafourche Parish to be used for a public purpose. The $400,000 for the roof was completed, half state funds and half corporate donations, which the Civic Center championed with, at that time, executive director was Henri Boulet, and you know he's good at getting money from people. Basically, we all in the same boat. We all know what's going on, what's coming. We've had to cancel 3 of our major events this year. You know, our Wild Game Supper, our Coach O event, and the Swamp Stomp event. tomorrow, I think we're gonna go out to the board and let them know that it's probably not feasible for us to do our Wild Game Supper, which we were planning to do before French Food Festival. We're still planning on having a French Food Festival, but as you all know, that possibly may not happen. But what I'd like to be able to do is maybe come to the parish. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank y'all for everything that y'all have done for us in the past. If it wouldn't be for some of the money that we received from you guys for improvements, repairs and maintenance and all this stuff, we probably would be closed today. Most of the improvements that we do with the money you give us, we want to do something that's going to save us money, whether it be energy or reducing a workload or whatever it is. We're not going to spend money just to spend it. We're going to do it for something that's going to help us. Right now, as of today, I'm going to tell you what our costs are. We have 4 employees, all very much underpaid. Their pay has been cut 3 or 4 times. They're sticking with us. They probably could walk away and get unemployment, but that would end up costing us money because we can't afford unemployment insurance. Right now, as of today, our utility costs for the building is $26,500. And that's with just barely running a building without any activity. So not having any activities so far this year, that's exactly what it's costing us for our energy bills. Energy, gas, water. We have everything it costs to run this place. Our garbage is around $1,000 so far this year. Copy fax machines, that's about $250. Our CPA is about $2,800. We have landscaping maintenance that we have to have done. That's $800 so far this year. Our insurances is what's really getting us. Our workers' comp, our commercial liability is, so far we've put $92.55 in that this year, $9,255, with a down payment of $7,400 when we started our policy. Our workers' comp is about $1,500 a month. The payroll's $67,000 so far for this year. All of that comes up to right at $116. With a monthly operating expense of $16,657, and that's $555 a day. We have enough money to make it through the end of the year. Because we get private donations from people. We haven't had any events, no income except the money we get from the parish to do our improvements. One of our biggest improvements is air conditioning. The building's old. We replaced the AC units and some of the refrigeration units also, going from commercial units to residential units, which burn a hell of a lot less electricity. So we're saving money on our electricity bills. Our electricity bills used to run about $8,000 a month. Right now they're about $2,500. Our daily operating costs, about 6 years ago, was close to $1,500 a day. We had a lot more employees. Of course, we had a lot more income. But now with our staff reduction and the actual reduction of pay, that's how we got it down to where we are today. For me to get it down any more than that, it would be, I'd have to get rid of people. And once I get rid of people, if I lay them off or whatever, they're gonna go for unemployment, and then I'm gonna have to pay their unemployment. So I just soon keep them. So it's kind of like a catch-22. If you can't afford unemployment insurance, you got to be able to keep the people there. So we've done a lot of stuff in the last 6 months of cleaning the place up. The place is 40 years old. You can about imagine all the little closets and rooms where stuff's been stacked throughout, all the different directors that have been there, the different board members and stuff. So they've been very busy cleaning things up, getting ready. They're chomping at the bit to do something, So I'm just here to maybe ask you if it's any way possible that if we can maybe talk later on at the end of this year to see where we stand, if the parish can help us. Like I said, y'all have always helped us with stuff like, repairs and maintenance improvements. Our swimming pool, which is, of course, we shut down the swimming pool because it doesn't make money, so we're not going to run it. All the funds that we've received from the parish in the past has all been used for, like we say, repairs, maintenance, and improvements. We've never received money that could be used for operations. I don't know if it's possible, if it's ever been done, but to be able to get some funding so we could help pay our insurance and help pay the employees to keep the place open. That's what we'd be looking for. We can, if we can come to some sort of agreement that we can get some sort of funding, and all of a sudden we see that we start having events and stuff again, then that would go away. In other words, I'm not asking for you to come over here and give me money, but when I start making money again, I won't need it anymore, okay? I don't want it to close. You know, there's too many people that work too many years to keep this place going to let it shut down. And we're gonna do all we can, everything we have to do to keep it open. One of the other things was we work on grants. You know, we do a lot of work on grants, trying to apply for all these grants. Basically, it's kind of like I guess our success rate might be about 20%, maybe 2 out of 10, which is not bad. And they give you a grant for, you know, to replace the air conditioning unit or different things like that. We still get a little money from some of the oil companies, Chevron, Shell, BP. Every once in a while they drop us a little money. Loop. So with all these donations that we get, and then we have private citizens who help us too. They donate us money. We haven't had to call on anybody yet this year, and we don't want to. We want to be able to do it on our own if we can, but I don't know how that's going to work. It looks kind of shaky for us to be able to have our French Food Festival, which is our biggest event of the year. So far this year, just with the 3 events that I mentioned, we probably lost close to $200,000 of money in our bank account. We did apply for the PPP funding, and we got it. We got the money. I think it was like $27,000 we got for that. So that helped us out a lot. I think that was another one of the reasons why we're still open. So if there's anything else we need to do to get a little further down the road with this, I'll keep you all informed on where we stand. How much further I think we can go. I think we can make it through the end of the year, to be honest with you, right now without much income. But it's going to be tight. So,
as I recall, we had budgeted some money. I don't know if it was $50,000 or something this year. Have y'all received those funds? Been able to use that in some way, shape, or form?
We have.
Okay.
We have used it.
Good. Good. Yeah, so from our perspective, I thank you for your appeal, Mr. Arsenault, and I certainly hope that the parish president will work as hard as any of us should to keep you guys going in such a vitally important center that's located right there in the Rose. Mr. Perilou.
Yeah, hey, Mr. Arsenault, and y'all also, just for the general public's knowledge, y'all do provide recreation to the youth of the parish in that area, right?
Right. Do we have the
So it's not like you're over here as a private club asking for donations. You do provide a service to the taxpayers of Lafourche, so I just wanted to highlight that for you.
Yeah, we have the 3 ballparks, the Bantam Field, the soccer field, the walking track, tennis court, basketball court, and the gym.
Yeah, my kids participated there. I actually coached there, so yeah, wonderful facility. Mr. Wendell.
We're actually trying to work. I'm trying to set up a meeting now with the state interim emergency board with Joe and Mike Fessy and Archie also to get with the state interim board to see if they could help us out in any kind of way. So, you know, wherever we get it from, I'm gonna let you know. I'm not gonna double dip on you, nobody, because everybody is in the same boat.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Thank you all for your time, and I appreciate all you have done for us.
Hold on, Mr. Arsenault.
Yes,
Mr. Wendell.
I just wanted to tell you real quick, I've worked the French Food Festival for the last several years through the sheriff's office, attended plenty of weddings and receptions and other business luncheons and things there that you guys have rented out of the room. I've been able to see what you guys do with volunteer work, how you turn a lot of nothing into something through the guys that you have there, the donations under the pavilion. You can look at the signs, all the plaques of who made this possible and who made that possible. And just thank you for your contribution to the community. And, you know, if you need help, feel free to come back to us and we'll see, you know, get with administration and see exactly what it is we can do for you. But thank you.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I have one more thing, Mr. Arsenault. Have you ever thought about maybe getting together with the Cutoff Youth Center and the Gain Center and maybe try to pool your resources for like insurance purposes? Try to get like maybe a group plan with these other entities that are probably in the same situation?
It's possible. I looked into this probably about 8 or 10 years ago, but the thing that really, we're probably the biggest liability out of the whole bunch, okay? Because our facility is, so we have 40 acres, okay? So for us to clump together, you know, if we were all the same, it could be beneficial. But what I've seen in the insurance industry lately, I manage 3 oil field companies right now, and they just worried about the premium. That's what they worried about.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe of leveraging all the properties for one carrier for a lower discount rate.
I do work close with Dylan, with Cutoff, and we try not to conflict each other's events because, you know, they support us, we support them, you know, and look, we're neighbors, so we try to help. One of the things that I do want to mention too was, I guess a couple of years, 3 years ago it was, when we started the Recreation Advisory Board. I sat on that board for a while, and y'all did give us $100,000 to build one of the handicap park right across the street from the Civic Center, which it gets used a lot, and everybody sure appreciates that. So again, thank y'all for everything y'all have done for us, and I look forward to doing business with y'all some more.
Thank you, Mr. Arsenault. Appreciate it.
We don't need it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Daniel didn't have his light lit. He'd like to get a word in. Go ahead, Daniel. You got it.
Yeah, the Cutoff Youth Center and the Rural Civic Center is 2 different issues here. According to what you read, and I've heard this a while back, but nobody can never find a copy of that letter, that if anything goes wrong with this place, parish council is responsible. Right?
You have residual ownership, correct.
So what does it, I know I heard some figures and all, but a lot of your benefits you couldn't do. Senior citizens can't come to work. You don't want to put them in danger. What would happen if you lost all your volunteer work?
We'd close.
You'd close.
Yep.
Okay. Just remember, if this place goes under, remember who's responsible. So it's going to be a bad year. It's going to be more than a bad year. And I've been preaching that since I've been here, the last 2-3 months. Just look at the royalty funds. Month before last, 27,000. Last month, 34,000. Where you get 250, 300,000. Sales tax is going to be down in garbage. We're going to be probably $500,000 in the red at the end of the year. State's in a bind. Federal government's in a bind. Parish is soon to be in a bind. So where are we going to get all the funding? Everybody wants to be treated fairly and equally. But the key issue here is you cannot compare the Cutoff Youth Center with the Laurel Civic Center, because if anything goes wrong with the Laurel Civic Center, the parish council is responsible. I've been looking for that letter for a long time, so you make sure you get me a copy of that. And I know you're going through some rough times. It ain't gonna be easy, I can tell you that.
Oh, I know already.
And when the revenue's gonna come in for the property tax, you'll be lucky if you get 50% this year, what you got last year. You'll be lucky. But we'll see. You never know what could happen.
Oh, I know. Now we are.
But anyway, I know you work hard and you try, and you don't bother us too much. We give you probably a little piece of the pie. But maybe we need to look at trying to help you, if we can, a little more.
And I really don't know what's the possibility of funding from the parish for operations. I don't know how that works. You know, that's something I never had to deal with. So Anyway,
Then you just to be clear, you are in support of the Civic Center, though. You're speaking in support of or not support of?
No, I'm in support of the Civic
Okay.
Center.
All right, I just want to make sure.
I'm just
I wasn't-
trying
with
to-
that- I don't know if everybody else is kind of wasn't sure about that. Yeah, because I think we support, we're all in agreement, I hope, that we support this
Yeah,
facility.
But the key issue here is if they go under, and hopefully they won't go, but they're right there knocking on the door, council's responsible. Remember that.
we, I don't know exactly how far we can go, but I think we can, we might could pull through till the end of the year, I would think.
Thank you, Mr.
It'll
Arsenault.
be tight.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Archie, you had something to say?
I was just gonna say that, Thomas had sent me this, I think on Monday. So he gave me a copy of the resolution number so we'll do some research, but we kinda did some research early yesterday and we found some old opinions about, I think it was back from 2012, about who had residual ownership and what that interest was. So we'll pull that and do some more research and get with the DA's office to figure out what the options are. And I guess if there is, if we can provide some funding, I'll probably take it from row 2. That's probably the best place to go with it.
And I would request, if legal, if our grant writer or our grant group could somehow also explore grants that are available out there to please not only the Laurel Civic Center, but all the facilities that are going to be in a bond this year. Okay, once again, thank you, Mr. Arsenault. Okay, Louisiana State Representative, Mr. Brian Fontenot, you finally have the floor almost 2 hours later.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, President Chasson. Brian Fontenot, Louisiana State Representative, 403 West 3rd Street, Thibodaux. I guess before I get to what I want to say, I think that as a governing body, yourself, me and the state legislator, there'll be many nights where we hear that deafening sound of the rain falling on the roof with individuals here asking for funding, and how do we fund not only his civic center, recreation, parish government, the sheriff, and the school board. We heard Ms. Batto and Councilman Otan, I think it's very admirable of you to always be honest. We are absolutely, Councilman Lorraine, facing extraordinary times, not here in Lafourche Parish, but across the state. When we get back to the state capitol in October, we'll be facing a $1 billion shortfall. Where does that take us? I think it's yet to be seen. We have to be extremely good stewards of the public's money. How do we manage that money? And we should start finding ways now to cut costs and save revenues, because come next year, the calls like Mr. Arsenault's will be much louder than it is tonight. I come here as one of 9 state legislators that represent Lafourche Parish, but I'm only the legislator, or one of the only legislators, that represent all of Lafourche Parish. As an individual, I have 100% of my district is in Lafourche. I represent 6 of you councilmen on this council. Each day, throughout the process, I communicate with the parish president, our assessor, the district attorney, the sheriff. But I come to you today about one decision I want to share with you, and I would like to have your input. Many of you call me as friends, and some of you call me as a constituent of mine. Over the last several weeks, an outcry from one of your members on this council has been for me to sign a petition to override the governor's authority to declare a state of emergency in the state of Louisiana. I want you to know that I, like many of you, am a constitutionalist, and I believe in our founding fathers' rights and the Constitution, the things and the freedoms that we share. But I also don't believe that the state is wrong. We have some cases of COVID. Of course, you know we lost one of our friends. The state legislator certainly has the power, with 53 signatures in the House of Representatives, to take away the governor's executive power to declare a state of emergency. But because I work for you, I want to share with you the pros and cons. And if you think it's important, or you think that I should sign the petition, I'd ask one of you tonight to offer that resolution and get 5 or 9 votes for me to affix my signature. This is extremely important for our parish. The Speaker of the House, Mr. Scheck-Snyder, has recently sent out a directive to its members, and I want to share some of the thoughts that he's given to us. If the Louisiana State Legislature choose that the public emergency should be canceled, legal has decided or have given its opinion that GOSEP and LDH will no longer be able to coordinate with federal and local authorities on the assessment and mitigation of the response of this public health emergency. If we override the governor, the question, if the public emergency is canceled, GOSEP and LDH will no longer have the ability to procure materials necessary to respond to a public health emergency. I want you to know today, in the state of Louisiana, we have more people in the hospitals than in March we had available beds. If we lose the ability to take away or have a state of emergency, I'm not certain we could get the 500 ventilators that was sent to us by the federal government. We should talk about, if the public emergency is canceled, the facilities currently treating COVID patients could be subject to civil penalties. We passed legislation, and the governor signed it, to offer immunity to businesses, to the school systems in this state of emergency, that they could not face civil penalties if someone proclaimed they got COVID in their business. If this legislature overrides the governor, we would lose that. I want you to know that there is no state in the United States that has even spoke of overriding the governor. As Americans in the right to democracy, we must realize that the Louisiana State Constitution gives specific powers to the governor. It is broad, and it may be overreaching, but in a time when Americans and people of this parish are dying, it's not a time to debate that. The potential that we may lose federal funding. In the first round of $1.8 billion sent from the federal government because we have a state of emergency, parish president, the allocation for this parish was $5.3 million. Parish President Chasson has requested $2.6 million. He has received $2.1 million. We have a remaining allocation that we could potentially recover of $3,109,000. Without a state of emergency, the potential is we may not be able to recover those dollars. The question we all must ask ourselves as elected officials, stewards of the people, is what do the people want? There was a nonpartisan survey conducted throughout the state of Louisiana. Nearly 4,000 individuals were polled. And the question, do you approve or disapprove of how Louisiana hospitals and COVID pandemic are performing? And 70% say that they approve. In March, Governor Edwards declares a public health state of emergency for Louisiana, allowing to coordinate with federal government in response to COVID. Currently, this petition is being circulated by members of the legislature to cancel the governor's declaration of state of emergency. Do you believe that the public health emergency should be canceled? 61% of the people in the state of Louisiana said it should not. 70% of the people in Congressional District 6 said it should not. Do you believe that we should have a mask mandate? 71% of the people in the state of Louisiana said we should. There is a very fine line of what is constitutional and what is correct. People didn't elect me to go to the state legislature to do what I thought was right on my sleeve, or what the Republicans thought I should do, or what the Democrats thought I should not do. I went there to represent every individual. I would like for you, if you think I should sign this petition, Mr. Melvin, you introduce a resolution, and you ask the people in this room if they think I should cancel the governor's orders or take away his powers. On the face of the value, he's probably right. But on behalf of Representative Bagala, he's probably not. So, gentlemen, at this moment, I have no intention to sign unless one of you wish to offer a resolution and a majority says I should sign. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Melvin.
Anybody want to go first?
You can go first.
You want to go? Or you want me?
I recognize you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Representative Fontenot. I appreciate it. And you beat me to the punch. I was going to say that is definitely me, because while we do have some very strange things happening that have never been happened before, and yes, I believe COVID is real. I believe also, based on just making phone calls and visiting with nurses, doctors, and other medical personnel, that it mainly affects a certain percentage of the community, those who have comorbidities, aka pre-existing conditions.
So while it is very dangerous to some, and they need to protect themselves, never in the history of this country have we had mandatory quarantines, mandatory mask wearings. I'm going to err on the side of freedom, and we're not talking about anything that's alienation to this country because we've never done this before. And I know that even though the governor has his powers, y'all have y'all power too, as you mentioned in the Constitution. So y'all can do something if it comes to that. And these folks that were here earlier who said that they are in dire straits, and next year you yourself said they would be in dire straits and we'd hear from more people. Well, that's definitely true. And to me, I think that everybody should have the right to wear a mask if you want, but not be required to. I'm also thinking that those who are at risk, and believe me, most folks do know, based on their medical diagnosis, if they're at risk or not. Not everyone. Somebody could have a ticking time bomb aneurysm, okay? However, most folks do. Those folks should definitely take precautions, wear a mask, maybe stay home. But if everybody who has comorbidities can stay home, why do the rest of us have to be quarantined, wear a mask, etc.? And I know some things can be spread, of course, but I don't think it's going away anytime soon, and we're ways off from a possible vaccination. But I find that I don't believe in shutting everything down. And again, polls and survey, I took statistics, and I'm not sure if everybody has, and again, they can be used good and bad. I mean, it used to be the dentist survey said dentists use Crest. Well, how many of those dentists work for Crest, okay? So, I mean, the point is, I'm going to err on the side of freedom, and that's just me, and I find that there's been some overreach. And if you look at every blue state and blue state city with Democrats in charge, those are the ones who are pushing a lot of this stuff. And look, at least they're honest. You kind of know where they stand, but I tend to lean more conservative in the fact that while if you brought up Reggie, well, again, he was a personal friend of mine, and I visited with him quite a bit, and I still mourn his loss. But I know a whole bunch of people that have caught it and had either mild symptoms, or most of them had mild symptoms, but some, very few in the hospital. Had a relative, 95 years old, in the nursing home catch it. She spent a week or two in a regular hospital bed and went back to a nursing home. There's just so many unknown variables, and to say that somebody has COVID back in March and they get over it and they die of God knows what today, could be a drug overdose, it's called a COVID death. If you're diagnosed with COVID and you're retesting in a week, they count that as 2, 3, however many times you tested. So these numbers are skewed, okay? And I think we have having the wool pulled over our eyes while there's some tragedy going on. So again, I err on the side of freedom because to me it's honoring my oath. And I know that some folks I spoke with, I mean, look, you can skew a poll, and I'm not saying it's skewed, but it just doesn't sound right to me compared to the folks I'm talking with. I don't know where it was conducted. But again, I mean, I will gladly own it because I like, again, erring on the side of caution, but I think the long-term effects of this is not good, worse. Thank you.
Councilman Melvin, I guess, certainly I'd like to respond, but do you wear your seatbelt when you drive a car?
I sure do, but it's by choice. I don't have to be told to.
It is a state law, sir, just so you know.
It doesn't matter. I don't think the state has a right to tell people and make us wear a seatbelt. I'm an American, and it's a free choice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe in freedom?
No, I certainly believe in freedom, sir, but I believe that people are dying, and we have to find a delicate balance, and we can't be extremists when we talk about things. This is a playbook. I agree. Mr. Melvin, I didn't interrupt you, sir. This is not a playbook that you or I, the governor, or anyone that I know of, and in modern time has had an opportunity to play that. But overriding the governor's executive order takes away his power to declare a state of emergency in the time of hurricane season, which we're in now. So, Mr. Melvin, are you willing to give up that opportunity of federal dollars coming to this parish in exchange for taking away the governor's power? And the second thing, if this petition, of which only has 24 votes today, was to get 53, do you think people in this parish would do things different? Do you think businesses would just go open up? Do you believe these individuals wouldn't wear a mask to come here?
Again, it's a free choice. And I just say that you kind of asked me a question a minute ago. I was trying to answer it. But again, I err on the side of freedom. I think if somebody wants to wear a mask, wear it. I know that COVID is very dangerous to some, but I don't believe in locking down everybody and closing businesses, because in the long run, I think it's going to be more detrimental and it's going to hurt us more. If we know that the main population is affected and they do have drugs that they are being successfully treated, and they even have better ways to treat it now, some are getting treated with nebulizers versus vents. Again, I'm just not buying into it.
Is your freedom worth the remaining $3.1 million that this parish can get?
Well, Representative Amity was here 2 weeks ago. I wish she'd have been here tonight, because I'm sure she could have helped field some of these questions, because she went down the list and did say that there were some concerns, but she felt, according to what she told us, not just felt, but what she believed according to her research, was that, and she told this council that some of the things we didn't have to worry about because there was still going to be funding. Again, she's not here to defend it, but that's what I recall her saying.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Farrell, you have the floor.
Yeah, Brian, thank you so much for being here tonight to field those questions and explain your stance in the matter. I was just wondering, how many votes are currently in place right now to override the governor's emergency order? How many are needed?
We currently need 53 votes. A week or so ago, there was 29, and my last count with the Speaker of the House that there's currently 24. And that 24 has been in works for probably since March. So it's taken 5 or 6 months to get those 24 votes. You know, this business is politics, any way you slice this up. And there should be no reason why we would go push on the governor for something at this point clearly has no ability to pass. You know, the legislature has power of the purse, but like President Chasson, the governor has power of the pen. In this parish, each one of you has money in your district that falls under capital outlay dollars. At this point, some of this is political. You know, we're talking about $7 million in Mr. Lorraine's for his airport. We're talking $12.5 million for coastal projects. We're talking $7 million in Nicholls State University. We're talking $2.5 million in Councilman Grove's area for the bridge. If we go against the governor for something that fails, politically it may not be good. But above and beyond all that, you will never see me post on Facebook something that fearmongers that the government is not correct. That's not what I do. Do I have concerns, Representative Melvin? Excuse me, Councilman Melvin? I certainly have those concerns like you. But as a representative of the people, I don't fearmonger that things are incorrect. I give the statistics, like the parish president did to the Gazette, and we know that there are some problems with the numbers. We have 110,000 cases today. There may be 10,000 that are inaccurate, but we still have 100,000 people that once got this illness inside of the state.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Representative Fontenot, strongly support your effort in standing for the people of Lafourche Parish to keep them safe. I'd also like to ask Councilman Melvin, since you continue pushing this, have you ever lost anybody close in your family with COVID?
No, sir.
No, sir. Well, I have. And I spoke this 2 weeks ago. I'm sitting here wondering if you either on dope or just playing outright.
All right, come on. All right, let's keep it civil.
I'd like to answer that, too.
Let's keep it civil.
Because
Hold on.
it's ridiculous.
All right,
I lost
Mr. Melvin, address the chair or address the speaker.
I
Don't address
lost
Mr.
family
Melvin.
chairman.
Understood, Mr. Jones.
Okay, and this is stupid. Each 2 weeks, coming here, I want to force 24 signatures, 24, and you need 53.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And I appreciate you standing behind the people of Lafourche Parish and not signing this petition in order for us to continue getting our support from the state. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. One of the things we didn't talk about is the state of Louisiana's unemployment. The state of Louisiana's unemployment is about to run out. People who get an extra $600 is gone. We have whatever $220 that most people can't survive on is actually running out now as well. The governor today has asked the federal government to step in and try to provide more funding for unemployment for individuals that may work for Mr. Arsenault. We don't have a state of emergency. We don't necessarily know if those dollars will come here. It's unfortunate when we talk about people's health, like Councilman Melvin, we talk about Republicans and Democrats, because right now we're all Americans, and we have to address it that way. And I agree, Bo, I agree with you. They certainly have some issues that need to be discussed, but taking away a state of emergency for me at this time is not an option. But I work for you. If 5 of you agree, I will sign.
Mike?
I was just gonna ask, so today's press conference with the governor was pushed back to 4, and we had a little committee meeting, so I wasn't able to listen. Was anything, did John Bel Edwards announce any new changes, or was it just kind of a summary of stats? Do you know of anything changed today?
I didn't read my email yet, Councilman.
All right. If no one else has, I'll make a comment. Yeah, anyone else have any follow-up? So I think Brian is, and look, I thank you for coming here and facing us. It's a tough situation, but I can tell you that my constituents and many of the businesses in Lafourche really feel like they're dying a slow death. So while we need to certainly keep in our sights the people that are affected by COVID, we need to realize too, and I think you realize that, I think all of us up here realize this, that, we are feeling like we're dying a slow death. And like you said, as unemployment runs out, it's going to only get worse. We sat with Senator Cassidy a couple of weeks ago, and I expressed to him the importance of getting kids back in school, just becoming antisocial and not intermingling with other kids. We're going down a really bad path, and it's such a wide view. And I think what we're expressing to you here is that, man, we're really nervous about how we're going into the future, and if there's any way to get on a fast track to get us back right, that we need to keep pressure on the governor to get us back on that fast track. And, many of us drive up and down the bayou, and we see some businesses with, 500 vehicles, 1,000 employees that's working, and then you see a little, bar that's closed. It's just, some things just kind of don't add up, and those people you are really in your ear about, hey, man, all these people right here can be together, and they had a huge outbreak of COVID. They're over it now, and I can't even open. So we're feeling all of that, and so I just hope you recognize that. And like I said, and for me personally, we have probably 75% oil and gas business, and I tell you, we all feel like we're dying a slow death right now, and we're hoping that there's a light that comes around that turn fast.
Look, I agree, Mr. Chairman. I actually spoke to LHSAA, and I specifically asked if we had 53 votes, would you play football? And the answer was no. I asked Superintendent Martin, if we had 53 signatures, would you let him go back to school with no mask and no restrictions? And he said no. So there has to be a balance by what people may do. If we was to override the governor, truly what would happen? What would people do? I think bars would open, and I agree. I don't think they should be closed. But it's a balance between being able to fund our government or take away the governor's powers. So, but I agree with you. I think it's wrong. I think closing these businesses is absolutely wrong. But I don't believe overthrowing the governor is going to be the answer.
Good, thank you.
One question. Just real
Okay,
quick,
one
question.
last follow, because I did ask if you had any.
Yeah, just one question.
Go ahead.
And I appreciate you coming, and I'm open for dialogue. Like I said, I'm still going to stick by my guns. And let me ask you this. Do you think it's right if somebody has something going on and we all as a community try to help out and act together, but there has to be a line drawn somewheres where we all cannot be responsible for everybody else's health issues. I mean, unfortunately, more people die of cancer this year, and it's very unfortunate. But, I mean, I don't think it should be on each other's back and the way things are now, and maybe continue to be if we go back to phase 1 or what have you, or we're getting all these phases. But again, I just don't think it's American that we punishing this guy when this person over here knows they have issues and should be quarantined or, again, behind closed doors or masked.
I certainly don't disagree with you, but it's at a cost to the people of this parish to do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you for keeping that dialogue with us, Representative. We certainly appreciate it, and we hope to see you here on a regular basis. It's great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that said, it's been a long time just to get to our public hearing. I'll entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess. So moved by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Adams. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence. That absence of me and Ms. Boudreaux. We'll resume at 19:20. We'll entertain a motion to resume the meeting, and a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Melvin. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence. That absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item H, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Perilou. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Number 8, ordinance to install a caution autistic child in area sign on Burma Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 11, District 4, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary caution autistic child in area sign to be placed near the address of 985 Burma Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana. So moved by Mr. Melvin. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this ordinance? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 9, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Melanie Boudreaux Degg and Lafourche Parish Government and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Melvin will move on Ms. Boudreaux's behalf for the administration. Second by Mr. Perilou. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this ordinance? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 10, ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-014 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to amend the Lafourche Parish Public Library's budget and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 10? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, we'll move this to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 11, ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-015 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to increase the CDBG Lockport Community Center project by $568,533.37, reduce the CDBG Dugas Canal project by $361,092.16, and increase the CDBG projects with unallocated funding by $207,441.41 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Perilou will move for me on my behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 11? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to maybe address this to President Chasson. On the CDBG money, is that still money coming from Gustav and Ike?
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, so this was part of that $33 million we received in 2010. So what's happening is the community center is the last project on the list, so everything has to roll into that as the last project.
Well, I understand that. That's what I want to find out, because this should be the last of the, because like in Mr. Melvin's district, they had $361,000 left. So he can't use that there?
Nope.
Now that's going to be transferred there? So what happens if you get a substantial completion? Then what do you do?
So that's what we're working with.
Oh, that's what you're working with to finish it?
That's what we're working with Jack and Hunt Giat and Associates, who's the grant manager, to figure out exactly what we can do with this $500-something thousand. If there's a way we.
And then what's unallocated funds?
That was everything that was the last little bit of the pie that wasn't allocated to anything that we kind of kept as a contingency.
And this was done not by this council, not by the previous council, but by the previous council.
Yes.
When you were parish administrator.
So actually this started in 2010.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why if you at the end, whatever's left, in fact, I got a project in my district that put up $150,000 that they had left, so it went toward over there. And that's all I'm asking. And then once this building is completed, who's going to fund the maintenance and operation?
So we've begun the talks with the recreation district in Lockport to try to come up with a program of how we could help self-sustain it, whether we rent the building out for weddings or private events. While we haven't done an official ribbon cutting yet, there's been an indoor soccer technique camp that's been in there the last couple of weeks that we're getting a piece of that pie off of. So for now, it's gonna be funded by recreation until we can get a sustainable, revenue source to it.
No, I think Lockport should get something, because I can remember when I was a young man, everybody would go swim at the Lockport swimming pool. That was the spot. But things change, and you got swimming pools all over the place. And they don't have any more yet, So that's fine. I just wanted some clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any further discussion? If not, we'll move this to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 12, ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-017 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for the purchase of a refurbished 30-inch submersible axial flow pump head system and for the rental of 2 pumps for Tropical Storm Cristobal in the amount of $80,088 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, moved by Councilman Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Anyone from the public would like to comment on ordinance number 12? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Mr. Chesson, if you happen to want to speak on something, please raise your hand because I can't see your light. Item 13, ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-018 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget and capital budget to cover the additional cost for the project number 20,000 playground equipment in the amount of $19,852 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Mr. Wendell on behalf of Ms. Boudreaux for the administration, second by Mr. Perillo. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 13? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 14, ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-016 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to budget for a grant that was awarded to the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness in the amount of $2,000 from the Williams Companies and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, moved by Councilman Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Anyone from the public would like to comment on ordinance number 14? 1 time, 2 times. Anyone from the public? 3rd time. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 15, ordinance approving an act of donation between Lafourche Parish Government and the Veterans Memorial District Ward 10 of the Parish of Lafourche for the donation of 6 light poles and fixtures and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said donation and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this ordinance? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 16, ordinance amending and reenacting Section 266 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinance of the Parish of Lafourche as it pertains to parish executive departments and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Adams for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Jones. Anyone from the public would like to comment on ordinance number 16? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? Mr. Grove.
Just had a quick question on when this position would be created, who would report to the Director of Communications? Is there people that would kind of fall underneath them now?
Mr. Chesson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, eventually, once we get everybody in place, and I think later on down the line tonight, you guys will hopefully support the nomination of Robbie and get Robbie in there. So eventually, the PIO will fall underneath there, and Caroline will work lockstep with Robbie as we continue to do things like the website redesign and continue to figure out a better way to push out information to the public. And then eventually down the road, depending on how things work out, there may be some shoving of IT underneath there, but that's kind of yet to be seen.
So it's not a replacement, it's just a strengthening of a department and adding to it.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if it was last week when I sent it or maybe the one when we introduced it a couple weeks ago in the summary that we send you guys. COVID brought out, I think, a lot of, I don't want to say weaknesses, but a lot of things that we had to figure out how to do better, right? So live streaming the council meetings, the initial Zoom meetings and how we put all that together. And I can honestly say that we have a great IT staff and we probably could have pulled it off. But how we live streamed the meetings, how we got through them was really the brainchild of Robbie. And while I don't want to pump up his ego too much, the kid really did work some wonders for us and got us through this thing. And I think as we get hopefully past COVID, as you saw what we kind of did for Cristobal, as we get into further into hurricane season, having somebody like that and having a department who can help us get through that and communicate better to our citizens, I think is going to pay off tenfold in the long run with having somebody in that department.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chesson. Thank you, Mr. Grow. With that said, anyone else have any discussion on this? If not, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Perillo, second by Mr. Wendell to close public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item I, proposed ordinances. Mr. Melvin.
Thank you, sir. Number 17, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-0919 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to cover the costs related to COVID-19 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer all said transactions provided by the Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, moved by Mr. Jones. Number 18, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-020 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to cover water line upgrades along West 106th Street and Cutoff, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved. Somebody wants to move for Ms. Boudreaux? All right, Mr. Perillo, thank you. Number 19, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-021 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to cover costs and invoices for the correctional complex and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by the Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones for the administration. Number 20, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-022 within the 2020 operation and maintenance budget to budget for grants that were awarded to the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Ms. Boudreaux for the administration. Number 21, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-024 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget for capital outlay budget to increase the Head Start budget for the purpose of COVID-19 funds awarded for the grant year 2020 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, administer and said transactions as provided by the Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Somebody wants to move for Ms. Boudreaux. Thank you, Mr. Wendell. 22, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-025 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to increase coastal zone management budget for the purposes of the Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction Project Phase 2 and 3 17038 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter for Mr. Otan for the administration. 23, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-023 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to increase the Head Start budget for the proposed of cost of living adjustment COLA, C-O-L-A, and quality improvement funds awarded for grant year 2020 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Somebody move for Ms. Boudreaux, please. Thank you, Mr. Wendell. And that'll do.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chairman. Okay, item J, resolutions. Number 24, resolution reappointing one member of the Fire Protection District Number 3 Board. Mr. Wendell will act on behalf of Ms. Boudreaux for the administration. Mr. Wendell, who do you have?
One vacancy. It's going to be one reappointment of Mr. Dean Savoy.
And Mr. Dean Savoy, second by Mr. Perillo. Any discussion? There being, Mr. Lorraine, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let the council know that I attended the last fire district meeting, and there was about 30 firemen, 30, 35 firemen in there, a little mixture of people, and the board. And there's some things that are not going on as too good up there, but I think it's gonna get better. And the only one that applied for this position is Mr. Savoy. But at the meeting, I well told them guys, I said, it's being advertised as we speak. If somebody wants to apply for the position, you're quite welcome to do it. All you gotta do is, you can go online, or you can call, or do whatever you want, fill the application and send it in. I says, that's the process that we take. Any one of you guys that are here. And then when it all happened, only one applied, Mr. Savoy. So, not that they weren't told. And that's what it is. So I don't have any problem with that.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Actually, the last meeting was last night. So you must have went to the second to last meeting. So last night, there was a large group. I did attend. Ms. Boudreaux had every intention. Unfortunately, her father fell ill and ultimately passed away. But I was in attendance, and the board ran a really good meeting. It was a packed house. You couldn't put another person in there. There was a lot of old-time volunteer fire chiefs that had showed up. I think the board hadn't seen in a long time. And so it was actually a very good and productive meeting, and I'm told today that things are on the right path. So I think everything's going to straighten up quick down there.
What I forgot to say was the last meeting when it was qualifying time. I didn't make the one last night. If I'd have known, I'd have went, but I guess I lost track. But
I had it.
It was over with. But when I made it, that's when it was being advertised. And I let everybody in the building know, if you want to come forward, fill out a resume.
Yeah, we certainly thank everyone that participates on all these boards and commissions, because as y'all know, it's tough to find good qualified people, and certainly to get in some of those environments where they got to make tough decisions. With that said, any further discussion? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Mr. Boudreaux. Congratulations, Mr. Savoy. You want to say anything, or you good? I'm good. All right, thank you for being present tonight. Okay, item 25, resolution appointing 1 member on the Lafourche Parish Game and Fish Commission Board. Mr. Wendell, on behalf of Ms. Boudreaux for the administration, who do you have, Mr. Wendell?
We had 1 vacancy with 1 applicant. The nomination is Mr. Marty Vidros.
Yeah, Mr. Marty Vidros. We got a second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion by the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 26, resolution reappointing 1 member on the Lafourche Parish Children and Youth Planning Board. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine?
1 applicant, Lauren Guidry.
Ms. Lauren Guidry, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 27, resolution accepting a grant from the U.S. Department of the Treasury for the Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction Project Phase 2 and 3 in the amount of $195,277 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou on my behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being, Mr. Chesson, you have the floor.
Real quick, I just want to kind of update you guys where we are with this. So this was a project that's probably been around since the 90s. In the QIPA program. Mr. Ronnie Pye and those guys from Fish and Wildlife Service have done a great job kind of channeling this, trying to get it done. But we were never fortunate enough to get it through that funding stream. So Amanda and CZM's done a wonderful job trying to keep it alive over the past couple of years and getting some money from the Treasury Department, which is basically the BP fines that we're still working off of from years ago. So we've been meeting the last couple of weeks with T. Baker Smith, who's been engineering the project and doing the feasibility study. As well as Terrebonne Parish, because they get a huge benefit of the fresh water that we're hopefully going to be able to pump down. And next week we're going to meet with CPRA to see if we can cobble together the rest of the funding. So we have about $4 million committed in our Go Mesa funding that you guys bonded out during the last administration that we're going to put forth. But we're going to go ask the state for about $26 million. It's going to replace the bridge along Highway 24 around the Williams plant. It'll install a tremendous, about a 4 or 6 48-inch pump station there. And it'll channel water from the intercoastal down Grand Bayou and hopefully provide a tremendous benefit for that marshy area between Pointe-aux-Chenes and Wendell's La Rose de Golometa system.
Very good for that update. Anyone else have any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 28, resolution approving a transfer of appropriation 20-001 in the amount of $4,206.67 from the Animal Shelter Kennels Project 17022 to the El Pass Evacuation Van Project 19045, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 29, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and the Veterans Memorial District Ward 10 of the Parish of Lafourche for the donation of 6 light poles and fixtures, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 30, resolution approving an agreement between Ducks Unlimited Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government for the Bayou Lewis Marsh Terraces Phase 4 project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 31, resolution accepting the low quote in the amount of $59,852 for the purchase and installation of 2 playground structures for the Thibodeau and Lockport Head Start sites, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell on behalf of Ms. Boudreaux for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 32, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Hospital Service District Number 3, DBA, Thibodeau Regional Medical Center, to provide funding for the Thibodeau and Lockport Head Start playground equipment, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell on behalf of Ms. Boudreaux for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? Mr. Chesson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a minute to publicly thank Mr. Greg Stock and the board at Thibodeau Regional for agreeing to basically sponsor this playground equipment. If you notice some of the signs that have gone up at some of the area schools, they kind of did the same thing for the school board. So Melissa and Bridget had the great idea of going and talk to them because we had a need at these 2 sites. So I just want to take a minute and publicly say thank you to them for their leadership on this and being able to help us out.
Yes, agreed. I'll also say thanks to all those businesses and sponsors that assisted them in getting their playground equipment. But they certainly took the lead to get those sponsors to contribute funding. With that said, we'll move this to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. I was about to cheat. I was about to jump to number 39. My paper got stuck. Item 33, resolution approving an interagency agreement between Lafourche Parish School District and Lafourche Parish Government Head Start to coordinate efforts for the 2020-2021 school year to identify and serve children who are at risk for developmental delays and or have exceptional needs, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell on behalf of Ms. Boudreaux for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 34, resolution approving an agreement between the Humane Society and Lafourche Parish Government for the Spay Together grant to be used for the spaying, neutering of dogs and cats that are backlogged due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 35, resolution approving a Workforce Innovative and Opportunity Act, WOIA, multi-jurisdictional consortium agreement between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, Assumption Parish Police Jury, and Lafourche Parish Government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 36, resolution approving the parish president's appointment of Robbie Lee for the position of Director of Communications for Lafourche Parish Government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Mr. Chesson.
One quick thing I want to elaborate on. And again, you know, as we did with all the other department heads, I think we're putting together a critical team that is going to see us kind of well into the future. You know, the gang that's on the other side of that room is doing an awesome job, and I think Robbie's just going to be an added piece to this, whether it's saving us, you know, about $30,000 in website redesign because he can do it himself, or whether it's Con and Corey in the flying a drone over some flooded water so we can get some cool pictures. But I also want to take a minute to publicly thank Caroline as our PIO. I mean, she's done a fantastic job in helping push information out there. And I think with her and Robbie working together, we're going to have a fantastic team that is really going to, as we roll out, and Renita's going to do her finance presentation, but as we roll out this financial transparency piece of the website and as we do some other things that we have planned in the coming months, I think they're both going to be a critical part of that communications team and definitely going to do a great job for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any other discussion, further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Congratulations, Robbie. Would you like to say anything? Yes, go ahead.
I'll just say thank you for the opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be a part of this great team and this administration and everything y'all do. I'm excited, so just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. I know you've been in a pressure cooker a few times with all this new technology we've been rolling out. So once again, thank you and congratulations to Robbie Lee. Item 37, resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement between Everbridge Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government, adding Resident Connect services and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou on behalf of the administration. Second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 38, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office to provide funding in the amount of $3,484.63 for the purchase of Resident Connect services and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou on behalf of myself and the administration. Second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 39, resolution approving a subaward grant agreement between the Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, and Lafourche Parish Government with the fiscal agent being LAT Workforce Development Board Incorporated to receive funding from the Louisiana Workforce Commission to provide services to youth, adult, and dislocated workers in the region, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 40, resolution approving an agreement between Deaf Action Center Interpreting Services LLC and Lafourche Parish Government for sign language interpreting and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou on my behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 41, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the contract between Lafourche Parish Government and the Management and Leadership Group to provide additional services and increase the contract price and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreaux. Item 42, resolution approving the trade-in of one 2005 Komatsu FX270 SLF excavator and approving a long-term municipal lease of one 2020 John Deere 250G LC super long front excavator at $4,819.55 per month and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Mr. Chesson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is kind of similar to what we did with the vehicles. But what we found out is with these municipal leases, we can get some better equipment, in this case, a machine that broke down. So instead of having a huge capital expense of $300,000 right now, we can space it out over 3 years, pay it gradually, and then there is a $1 buyout at the end of this deal too. So we'll pay $1 and get a brand new piece of equipment that still has some warranty left. That then, you know, we can either flip and trade in and do another lease in 3 years, or we can just keep and run it, you know, into the ground like we typically do with our other equipment till it breaks.
Very good. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence. That absence, Ms. Boudreaux. Let's get that machine working. Item K, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' Reports, Presentations, and/or Updates. Number 43, Finance Representative to present the monthly financial report as required by the state agreed-upon procedures for June 2020. Ms. Renita, you have the floor. All right.
Okay, with royalty revenue, as you can see, we've received the first and second quarter of, did I turn it off? Okay. Received the first and second quarter of royalty revenue this year. In 2020, first quarter shows an increase of $250,138.32, which is 39.53% compared to the first quarter of 2019. And the second quarter shows a decrease of $370,506.87, which is 65.19% in comparison to 2019. The overall for 2020, we are $282,448.15, which is 23.52% below the year in 2019. On the next couple of slides, which is the road sales tax district, all of the sales tax are going to follow. Because we have not received the full quarter, second quarter, I'm only going to be able to present to you tonight the first quarter comparison. For road sales tax district A, the first quarter shows a decrease of $17,444.51, which is 1.55% compared to the first quarter in 2019. Road sales tax district 2, first quarter shows a decrease of $12,635.63, which is 2.6% compared to the first quarter in 2019. Solid waste, first quarter sales tax shows a decrease of $22,431.07, which is a 1.35% compared to the first quarter in 2019. Parish transportation, also we don't have the June's amount, so that I can't do a full comparison for the second quarter. So tonight I'm only going to be able to give you the first quarter of parish transportation. It shows a decrease of $10,587.06, which is 6.03% compared to the first quarter in 2019. Is there a reason why it's not showing? It's not there?
About thumbs it up.
Okay, I have it on the slide. I don't know why it's not showing.
It's probably 2021. If we can't get it, you can just read it off.
It's not
Renita.
there?
No, it's like, it's blank here.
Okay.
Yeah, just read it off.
I'm going to go ahead and read it off, and then I'll email you a copy of this presentation tomorrow morning, so you'll have it in front of you.
Thank you.
The general fund, if you do a snapshot as of today, the prior fund balance, which was our audited number from 2019, we started off with a $354,895 fund balance in the general fund. Our change in fund balance as of today, if you do a snapshot, is $827,528, which is a change in revenue, which means that we have a decrease. We have received more expenses. We paid more expenses than we have taken in revenue. The final fund balance as of today would be a deficit of $472,633. keeping in mind that we have not received all of our taxes for Avalon, and we won't expect to get those until January and February of the next year. So our expenses, as of now, will be showing higher through the end of this year until we get those numbers in come January and February of next year. Drainage. Our prior fund balances, which is an audited number, from 2019, we started off with $1,198,215. Today, we have also, of course, spent more than we have taken in revenue of $2,154,765.32. The fund balance is also showing in as a deficit, which is $956,550.32. Once again, we have not received our revenue, and those don't start coming in until January, February, the large numbers. The library fund. Our prior fund balance audited was $16,193,605. Their change in fund balance as of today is $3,840.77. The revised fund balance, which is our fund balance as of today, is a good balance of $12,353,527. Solid waste. Solid waste, prior year-to-date audited number is $114,213. Your change in fund balance is $305,610.79, and you have a deficit showing of $191,397.79. I wish I would be able to show you royalty, but the prior fund balance is showing $3,975,614. The change in fund balance is $462,686.12. You have a revised fund balance, which is $4,438,300.12, which at this time it is showing a good number. The only thing is that if we continue going on the same path in royalty that we are right now, we are estimating bringing in $2.2 million. If we go on the same path that we are now, we're going to be reducing that amount to $1.3 million, which is a $900,000 ending balance towards the prior year, which would give us about $2 million at the end of this year, opposed to us estimating $3 million. So the summary of collections, your royalty collected $2,055,302.15 as of 2019. $250,138.32 increase in collections for the first quarter of 2020, which gives a 39.53% increase in the first quarter of 2020. Road Sales Tax District A collected $4,624,895.51 year-to-date of 2019, $17,444.51 decrease in collections for the first quarter of 2020, which is a 1.55 decrease in the first quarter of 2020. Road Sales Tax 2 collected $2,584,081.78 for the year 2019, $12,635.63 decrease in collection for the first quarter of 2020, which is a 2.6 decrease in the first quarter of 2020. Summary of the sales tax solid waste. We collected $7,101,552.06 for 2019. In the first quarter, we showed a decrease of $22,431.07 for year 2020, and it's overall 1.35% decrease in first quarter of 2020. Parish Transportation collected $697,330.94 for 2019, $10,587.06 decrease in collections for the first quarter, which is a 6.03 decrease in the first quarter for 2020. Summary of the major funds, the general fund. We've collected $6,387,729.72 in revenue. The expenditures year-to-date is $7,215,258.01. The fund balance is showing $472,633 of a deficit. Drainage collected $564,073.62 in revenue this year. Expenditure spent is $2,718,838.94, with a fund balance deficit of $956,550.32. The library have collected thus far $432,632.70 in revenue. Expenditure spent is $4,272,710.24. Fund balance is a positive of $12,353,527.46. And the last slide of solid waste have collected $2,743,934.14 in revenue. Expenditure spent today is $3,049,544.93. Fund balance is deficit of $191,397.79. And royalty collected thus far $734,330.12 in revenue. Expenditure spent is $271,644, and fund balance is a positive of $4,438,312. Thank you.
Anybody has any questions, Ms. Renita? Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, just to let the public know the difference between road sales tax A and road sales tax 2. A, you collect a penny. Road sales tax 2, you collect half a penny. That's why you see a difference. We only collect a half. If we collect a penny, we pass that up.
Yeah. So, Renita, I want to thank you. Oh, Jim, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On the solid waste sales tax.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Solid waste.
Okay.
Is that what is collected to pay the garbage?
To pay, is
River
garbage
Birch for the garbage?
Yes, that's solid waste.
Is that the only thing that comes out of that? That tax?
No, it does not. Salaries, there's a number of.
I'll contact you at a later
Okay,
date to
yes,
answer.
I can give
Thank
you a breakdown with all of the expenses that come out of solid waste, in addition to garbage collection.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Renita, and when I look at this, I look at that collected number, collected, and I just see the burden on our people, but by and large, our businesses. Every one of those collected numbers equals to some business having to put a lot of money up. So you start talking about tax reform, we've really got to get some of this under control, because that's a huge burden that's on our businesses, and it's impacting us. It's impacting us significantly. We're all going to have to look hard at that. Anyone else have anything? Thank you very much, Ms. Renita. Mr. President, any other department heads' comments? Okay, I want to entertain a motion to deviate back to item 20, proposed ordinances. It wasn't clear in the minutes on who sponsored the proposed ordinance in the absence of Ms. Boudreau. If I could entertain a motion. So I got a motion on the floor by Mr. Jones to deviate and return back to item 20 and proposed ordinances. Second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreau. Item 20 was proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-022 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to budget for grants that are awarded to the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Bo Melvin, will you move on that for the administration? Thank you, Mr. Bo. That settles that. I entertain a motion to return back to regular agenda. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 1 absence, that absence being Ms. Boudreau. And we only do that because as a proposed ordinance, it's important that we have everything legally correct before we enact that law. So I thank y'all for assisting me with that. With that said, I'll move to item L, discussion. As I started during the Zoom meetings, I will recognize each council member if they have any last words. Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor first.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Chasson and the administration and the Lafourche Freshwater District for spraying the lilies. In fact, somebody told me they saw Archie in the airboat, so I don't know how true it was. You know, I'm sure he was spraying, and we wasn't spraying nothing bad. If it would be something to affect the water, you wouldn't spray it. It's just to kill the lilies, okay? And I know they got some calls, and I want to take a minute, if you don't mind, to shout out to these veterans, South Lafourche Veterans Memorial District. They got 4 or 5 of them. Ben just got put on the board, and Mr. Kurt Schwess took over as president of the board. Mr. Linton Duce, who passed, was the president for 18 years. So Kurt took over, and the caretaker who takes care of the places, Mr. Kevin Sherman. And I think I'm gonna give him a little shout out. I think he's running for councilman in Golden Meadow. As long as it's not against me, that's okay.
Thank you all, gentlemen, for being present, and we look forward to getting them lights put up, right? Mr. Perilou, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'd like to send my sympathies to the Boudreaux family in Raceland. Speaking of COVID-19, young 23-year-old young man passed away Sunday, Trevor Sanchez. So my condolences to the Boudreaux and Sanchez and Landry families.
Thank you for that, Corey. I echo that sentiment. He was a good little fellow. Mr. Wendell, Mr. Bo Melvin.
I'd just like to say that I know in the parish, I hope we can get back to work as soon as possible. I know that there are some businesses that have a lot of employees who haven't closed and they're still working and paying their bills, and sometimes up to thousands of employees, and there's not really any mask or social distancing in some of these places, but I guess they're trying. I know that I have, again, relatives, elderly, who, you know, just, and constituents, but I'm just hoping we get back to some sort of normalcy. I also know that, I guess, I can't understand why, you know, having a private conversation with someone and being torpedoed at a meeting for things that I believe and strongly believe. But again, I know there's other people who are in this room who believe some of what I say. But again, it just is what it is. And look, it's politics sometimes, and it's unfortunate.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Grove. Good. Mr. Adams. Go ahead, Mr. Adams. You got the floor.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know I'm not sometimes the most serious person in the room, but you know, I know I have a lot of worries myself, but I just want to let everybody know worries are like rocking chairs. You know, it kind of takes up your time, but you really don't go anywhere with it.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Jones.
I'd like to thank the administration, but the bicycle must have hurt pretty hard last week.
Mr. Chesson.
Once again, I don't know how you follow this stuff, but just a couple of quick updates. We've been, you know, Renita and her staff have been plugging away at the budget. Going to be some hard numbers next year as we kind of get into it. But I know we start, Mitch and I and Renita are going to sit down with most of you guys next week, Monday and Tuesday, to kind of go through your wish list and kind of plug in what we can. And as I noted, I guess it's been a few weeks now in an email, we've been kind of going through the application interview process to replace the community services director. It's not easy to try to replace our Reggie. We did some interviews both in-house and outside via Zoom. I guess what, 2 weeks or a week and a half ago now. We did a second round of interviews Monday, so I hope to have a candidate to you guys at the first August meeting. Kind of keep that department up and running. Melissa, Jennifer, Diorn, we're all on that selection committee along with Mitch and Savani and I. But Melissa, Jennifer, Diorn, that staff in that department has done a great job picking up the pace, and Hillary over at the animal shelter, Heather at the Wallace Center, they're doing a great job kind of keeping that place running and keeping things going. So I appreciate all their hard work.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chesson. Last word, I'll just once again please ask everyone to please mask up, practice social distancing. We really need to get our kids back in the schools. We need to get our business back rolling, opening up, getting out these phases. And so anything we can do to help our part, please contribute. We all want to be back wide open again. With that said, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes to adjourn at 8:11 p.m. Was that? Yeah, 8:11 p.m. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas and 0 nays and 1 absence. That absence being Ms. Boudreaux.